Yee yee. Trap media. Man, what a day in boxing. What a day, what a day, what a day. If you was on Southern T today, you know we was cooking. T. Shout out Southern T, man. Good brother in the boxing game. Shout out Ghost. Shout out Jalik the leader. Who else I've been interacting with? That's something I want to start doing is we come across a lot of people in this boxing community and I think it's good just to shout each other out, like just different conversations that might happen when we in the moment. We might not understand this is a piece of boxing history. Years from now, people are gonna go back and go through these tweets and go through like what was the sentiment of the public? What was the how was people talking about this fighter or this fighter and this fighter? It's like you don't just have to get one perspective if they don't shut down the internet, but you don't just have to get one perspective no more. So I think it's always good to acknowledge good conversations that we had throughout that day. Um, our man had posted a conversation that I was having like a little minute ago, a couple weeks, when I was talking about Boots putting down Tank. I mean Tank putting down Boots and RX. Tank versus Boots at 147. How y'all feel about that? Stirring up the controversy on Twitter, as all the good Twitter folks do. And I had a nice back and forth. But before we do that, that's just some conversation the other day. Let's put some respect. The new agenda, the new focus, trap media. We came in exposing the BS, the Triple G getting the win over Jacobs. We came in exposing the BS, Lomachenko getting pound for pound under 9 fights and under would have lost to a journeyman. We came in exposing. We was the first one putting our foot on Terrence Crawford neck, letting y'all know who has he beat. And now that saga is almost over. So now it's time for us to forward the mission as we started with the hashtag racism in boxing. It may not be big right now, but one day it will be. First pound for pound list happen here on Trap Media USA. Make sure y'all go check that out. That's a little bit of history for y'all. And the next wave that we're really gonna begin pushing is support American homegrown sanctioning bodies. We complain, complain, complain about the WBC, the disrespect that they give black fighters specifically. They created a franchise belt for Canelo to avoid black mandatory, taking away opportunities, taking away a big payday, that life changing, generational money payday from Jamal Charlo at 160. When he was the mandatory for Canelo, the WBC steps in and say, nope. Hit him with the stiff arm, the Heisman stiff arm. Nope. We're going to give Canelo the duck belt franchise title out of nowhere. This never happened in history. And we're going to let you avoid Jamal Charlo because favoritism for the Mexican section of body. They're showing favoritism for the Mexican. And a lot of these, if you know traditional politics of that homeland, they're not too favorable for black people. Then we go to Lomachenko. Young David Haney has, worked his way in the spot to be able to fight Lomachenko, and WBC steps in. You're not Mexican, but you're not black, so anything but black American will give you the dick belt. And give Devin Haney the regular another franchise title, another controversy, just another situation. WBA recent situation in Minnesota. How long do we keep complaining before we actually just be like we not supporting this shit no more? Because we can keep crying, crying, and crying, and the same shit can keep happening, or we can go on to something else. And I feel like the best opportunity for us to get a fair shake is to support American sanctioning bodies, and that's the IBO, in which they've convinced us that doesn't matter. For some reason, these other sanctioning bodies that are super corrupt, they don't want to acknowledge the IBO, but they're doing stuff like the WBC with all these belts, uh, taking away opportunities from black fighters to make huge paydays or make legacy defining fights. We getting fighters that are getting robbed clearly in front of our eyes in Minnesota and Fox, but they don't want to acknowledge the IBO, and they've convinced us not to have respect for the IBO, a title that Roy Jones held. How stupid are we? It's like at some point we have to start thinking for ourselves and stop letting these people tell us what's what. Just because they say it's Hall of Fame, that don't mean it's Hall of Fame. Just because they say it's pound for pound, that don't mean it's pound for pound. We know can't none of these people go to any block in America where we dominate and they tell us what's cool. So why do we get to boxing and they can tell us what's cool? Most of these guys can't fight, never been in a fight. At least the average one of us done been in something. We done shook something at some point, win, lose, draw. We done had some type of confrontation. Most of these guys wouldn't know what to do if put in a situation where they had to defend themselves. So why do we care about their opinion? You got huge guys, man. It's I really don't want to take shots at people, but I'm just saying we gotta really just start to think, and I want to really I can't do it by myself. So if you tuning in, I need your help too. If you are a big media platform, I need your help too. We need your help. Let's support Florida-based the IBO, Coral Gables, Florida. They're based in Coral Gables, Florida. And let's support the IBF that's been carrying it properly anyway with the 10-pound limit. So if you're fighting a 147, you're closer to 147. If you're fighting a 154, you're closer to 154. If you go over that, it's a fine and a penalty. And that's an honorable thing. That's a sanctioning body that really cares about the sport. And they honor mandatories. We know one thing. The IBF is going to make you fight your mandatory. That's why Earl Spence, we hear the knocking on the door. We hear Boots saying he want to go that way because he know that's an honorable route. That's something that you know if you put something into it, it's not going to keep getting dangle, dangle, and dangle, and you're never going to get to it. You're going to get your opportunity in the IBF. So why not support honorable American sanctioning bodies like the IBF, honorable American sanctioning bodies like the IBO? And another issue with the WBC, they don't penalize guys like Ryan Garcia who take a spot for fighting for a mandatory position. That could have been a black fighter. That could have been another American fighter. That could have been somebody else that's hungry that would have relished in that opportunity. They would have loved to have the opportunity to fight for a mandatory spot and to fight Devin Haney. But they'll let Ryan Garcia fight for a mandatory spot and then avoid Devin Haney and not get any penalty. There should be some type of penalty when you waste everybody's time, because that could have been an opportunity for another hungry boxer to be put in position. Just because you don't want it, just because you want to avoid, you've made that clear through your words and all that. That's cool, but you don't have to waste time and take away from somebody else. And when you do those type of things that Ryan Garcia did, that Jojo Diaz was attempting to do and go on to fight Ryan Garcia, both of those guys should have been penalized, dropped out the rankings ASAP. Sean Porter, only thing I ain't like with the IBF, and I never want to see this again from you, IBF, you American sanctioning body, don't you ever disrespect the American again. You New Jersey based. We'll send some good Americans up there to have a good conversation with you. Have a good conversation with you. Um, don't disrespect the American no more, IBF. You took Sean Porter out the rankings for losing to a Brit. There's no way you get taken out of the ranking and you just lost the fight, but you should still be within the top 10. But you just lost to a very good Kell Brook. But that's the only thing that I seen this off with the IBF, but I haven't seen anything crazy in years. But IBF, we can't be doing that to the American. Keep respect on America, and we're gonna get behind you, IBF. We're gonna get behind you, IBO. We're gonna need you to put some respect on the Americans. We need fair shake. We got a solid justice system compared to other countries. And I feel like that's that safety net somewhat, because if something happened in Mexico, it just happened in Mexico. If it happens in whatever, and I understand that because they operate here, it can still go down here, but it's just a lot of other political stuff that go down other places that can get in the way of an American getting justice, like the situation with Fox. So overall, support these sanctioning bodies. I want to go over some up and coming fights. We got the weigh in and the face off for Terry Harper versus Alicia Baumgardner for the IBO title. So that's a title fight happening on the Zone tomorrow. Make sure y'all tune into that. I want to try to get in a breakdown. I'm not sure exactly what time, American time, because it's happening in the UK. So as long as I'm up early enough, I'm going to definitely do a breakdown on that. And I want to go to the IBO's website just to, let's type in IBO boxing, Google right now. So just want to give a little bit of history. The International Boxing Organization is a non-profit organization that sanctions professional boxing matches and awards world and regional championships. It was formed in IBO, so it's 33 years old. Headquarters, Coral Gables, Florida. Region served worldwide. The president is Ed Levine. Main Oregon General Assembly. It is often considered a minor world championship as it is not considered as major world title of any of the big four governing sanctioning bodies, and currently that's the WBA, the WBC, the IBF, and the WBO, but we have to get the IBO, an American-based sanctioning body, back in that conversation, who all recognize each other in their rankings and title unification rules. It is recognized as a legitimate world championship by the European Boxing Union and BoxRec, but it's unrecognized as such by the Ring Magazine, and we understand what Ring Magazine has represented. Um, hasn't always been the fairest to black fighters. So the IBF was founded in 1988 and incorporated in Illinois in 1992 by John W. Dodano. The organization was later moved to Florida in 1996 and incorporated in Florida at that time. Shout out to Florida. Ron DeSantis, governor out there. You're doing a great job. It's a great place to be in Florida. A. Levine, who continues to serve as the organization's president, became partner and president of the IBO in 1999. The organization received acclaim by implementing a computerized system, the Independent World Boxing Rankings, in the late 1990s that removed subjective elements from ratings in an effort to bring more credibility to the sport. So now that's something I didn't know. I think AI should you should have some type of algorithm to at least one part. You might have a human element that oversees that to us, like a group, but the heavyweight of the rankings are determined by the algorithm, like punch stats, wins, losses, like to where it's just not so opinionated, more fact based. So I like that. That's way ahead of its time, especially what to say, in the 1990s. So I like that. It's no reason something like an organization, like why, like I had to really do the history onto why an organization, especially like maybe because of that. That might be a reason because it would put pressure on other organizations to do the same thing. So from 2014, the organization now uses BoxRec, the Independent Records Keeping and Computerized Ranking System website for the IBO's ranking. Many marquee champions have held and continue to hold the International Boxing Organization's world title. If a fighter tests positive for banned substances after a bout, he is barred from a rematch. That's solid honor. The IBO permits only one world champion per weight division. We have never had more than one champion per weight division, nor will we, according to its president, Ed Levine. I think we starting to see why the IBO is not recognized by the other bodies. So if everybody else is up to BS, you're not gonna want the clean person around because they're gonna expose and highlight the BS. But if everybody around is just on BS and doing robbing, stealing, killing, then it just all looks normal. But when you bring somebody clean around, going to church, not drinking, not smoking, doing it highlights all of the BS that's been going on. And I think they don't want the IBO in the room because the IBO is carrying it properly. All of these belts that you have that the fans don't want, well, the IBO only has one belt in each division and they're vowing to keep it that way. So they don't want the IBO around because it's like, well, they doing it right. Why can't you do it right? They don't want that type of pressure. So they've tried to make excuses, but now I'm doing my own. And this is just a brief research. You can see right off top what the issue is with the IBO. The IBO is carrying it properly, how the fans want it, and how we've been duped. Not we don't even do our own research to look into it, so it's kind of our fault too. We need to get them recognized as a major section of the body, or we just need to patronize IBO fights and pressure our favorite fighters to fight for the IBO because it's only one belt in each division. So why wouldn't we want something like that? This is what we've been asking for. Get rid of all of these belts. The IBO already carrying it like that. So what's the bro? Shout out Ed Levine, man. The IBO permits only one world champion per weight division. We have never had more than one champion per weight division, nor will we. Uh, Except for world champion, IBO recognizes regional champions, including intercontinental champion. If an IBO intercontinental champion successfully defends his title 3 times, he may receive a mandatory opportunity for a world title. And this is just all good stuff. You can find it on Wikipedia. Notable past IBO champions: Vinny Pazina, super middleweight; Thomas Adamic; Danny Green, former cruiserweight champion; Thomas Hearns, Tommy Hearns, we always talk about Hagler Hearns, all of these guys. Well, the great Tommy Hearns was a former cruiserweight champion. We don't have any respect for Tommy Hearns and his cruiserweight IBO accomplishments. Come on now, we can't let them fool us like this. Tommy Hearns was an IBO champion. Let's put some respect on the American sanctioning bodies. We doing that today. Lennox Lewis, former heavyweight champion, IBO. Let's put some respect on the American sanctioning bodies. Hasim Rahman, Brian Nielsen, James Toney, the great James Toney. We hear his name all the time. We don't respect James Toney holding the IBO. Come on, we got to bring it back. Vladimir Klitschko, former heavyweight champion. We talk about how he ran the whole era. He held it. We don't respect Klitschko's accomplishments now. Roy Jones, former light heavyweight champion. We don't respect Roy Jones. A lot of people say he the best, most skilled to ever do it. We not respecting Roy Jones' accomplishments now. Come on now, we let them fool us like that, and we supporting the WBA and WBC that don't have no respect for the black fighter. Come on, Paulie Alea, former super bantamweight champion. Marco Antonio Barrera. We ain't respecting. We ain't respecting that. That's what it is now. We just don't care about the IBO no more. We don't care about the history. The world famous, the UK, the UK made him famous. Jeff Lacey, super middleweight champion. We don't care about Jeff Lacey no more, huh? We heard his name enough during the Spence fight. Floyd, Money, Mayweather, TBE. We don't care about Floyd holding the IBO, former welterweight IBO champion, Nassim Hamed, Ricky Hatton, Robin Reed, Carl Thompson, Brian McGee, Chad Dawson, Roger Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao, 8 division champion, former light welterweight IBO champion, Antonio Tarver, former light heavyweight and cruiserweight IBO champion. Pascal, light heavyweight champion. Bernard Hopkins, former light heavyweight champion. Nonito Donaire, Jeff Mayweather, Michael Ayers, Andy Ruiz, Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua, Jared Hurd. Overall point today, we got fool, we got sucker, we got punk, and to not recognizing the IBO and American base sanctioning body, and we praising everybody praised the WBC. Oh, the history, especially the black fighters. They be the first one caping for the WBC. They don't care nothing about a black fighter, and they show you over and over again. Let's get rid of that WBC. Let's get rid of that WBA, and let's prop up this IBO, and let's prop up that IBF. They're carrying it the right way. I like the rules. I like everything. We already know about the IBF. I just wanted to give a little bit of history and a little bit of breakdown. They only have one belt per division, as everybody want. If a fighter tests positive for a banned substance after a bout, he's banned from a rematch. What else do you want from a sanctioning body? And it's American, Florida-based, one in Florida, one in New Jersey. Let's give some more respect to the IBF and the IBO. I can't do it by myself. If you're a boxing fan, if you're a media outlet, if you're a fighter, let's start pushing our favorite fighters to fight for this IBO belt. And let's pay for them. Let's pay for them. Let's watch them. Let's do the views. Whenever the IBO is talk, let's make it a conversation. But I can't do it by myself. Shout out to everybody that's tuning in. Trap Media might go a little bit more in depth on the IBF tomorrow, but we know about the IBF. It's still around. My focus right now is getting the IBO back into its position that it should be in. Trap Media, like, share, subscribe. IBO, support American sanctioning bodies. I'm